Elio was directed by Madeline Sharafian and Dom Shi, who previously directed Turning Red. I quite like Elio. It doesn't really stick to me as a Pixar great. It's just a pretty entertaining Pixar film. And it's kind of a shame that more people are talking about anything outside of Elio rather than the film itself, because it is a pretty entertaining and inoffensive and charming Pixar film. It's just a shame that this film didn't really get marketed all too well, because it felt like this was coming out for years, and then all of a sudden it dropped. There was barely any marketing for it, and then Disney and Pixar released this sort of social media post where they said, "Oh my God, why doesn't Disney put out original films?" And then, "Oh my God, there's an original film and no one's seeing it, so go see it." How about you market your films first? I saw more marketing for Snow White than I did Elio. And Snow White was a big bomb too. And the fact that this film is bombing is kind of interesting, more so because Elemental, which I liked at first and now I just think is sort of average and fine, that film had legs that stretched and made the film a success over time. Elio just bombed and people kind of forgot about it. The plot of the film is that Elio is a little boy with a tragic backstory. He lives with his aunt and he wants to be abducted by aliens because he feels like he has no place on Earth. And when he does so, he gets caught up in some antics that eventually leads to him having to do his best to save the universe, basically. He is seen as the leader of Earth, and so he has to hold up that facade over the film, and he eventually meets with this little alien creature called Glorden, and the bond between Elio and Glorden is really cute and charming. I enjoyed that part of the film. It's really fun and interesting, and I wish there was more of it, and or I wish it lasted longer, but the way it concludes I was very happy with, although I just wish that there are certain Pixar films that just would go a little deeper and hit a little harder, because if they play out without doing the final, gotcha at the end, I'm sure these films will hit extremely hard and will be a lot better. It's something I wish Elemental did, a film that I like at first, but I've grown to just think it's fine and okay over time. There are definitely other animated films from that year that I like better. But with Elio, I don't think I'm going to look back on this and think that it's bad, or look back on it and think that it's just fine or okay. It's a pretty charming and inoffensive film. It's pretty short. I think it has like a runtime of an hour and 40. The animation is great. Of course, Pixar films have just stunning and fantastic, extremely detailed animation, especially when we're in space and any moments that we're on the beach and or it's nighttime and it's raining. But there are a few moments in the animation where I thought it just looked a little off, maybe when we're focused on characters so much in the foreground and the background's all fuzzy and blurred out. It just doesn't look right, and it just really feels like, oh, we're focusing on the characters in the foreground so much so we don't have to animate stuff in the background all too much. This is an issue people have with a lot of Pixar films now. They don't like the character styles and the character animations. I don't have an issue with it, and they mainly point to Turning Red and say that it's cringe or it's too smooth. I actually like the animation in Turning Red because I think it's the most expressive Pixar film in terms of animation and character animations with their facial expressions and whatnot. I think it's really fun and cute, and it plays into the whole tone of the film. But it has to be utilized correctly in certain films, and I don't think the character animations in this film, more so speaking to the humans, is all that interesting. They just look like they're average sort of 3D animated characters for like a TV show or a commercial or something. And that's not to say like there isn't detail in the hair and their clothings and whatnot. It's the faces, and it looks kind of off. And it's more so off when you look at their lips, because it doesn't feel like they have lips. It just sort of feels like they don't have an upper lip, and there really isn't a distinction between their lip and their mouth and the rest of their face. So it's kind of off-putting, but you kind of get used to it over time because we really don't focus on the humans a whole lot in the film. Once Ella goes to space, we're really focused on him in space. The film is composed by Rob Simonson, who has done films like The Whale and Moneyball. I do like certain pieces of music in Moneyball. I don't remember a whole lot, but there is a very specific theme that is used quite a bit, especially when you see stuff about sports and social media stuff about sports. And I remember quite liking the score for The Whale. I don't remember a whole lot of the score from Elio, mainly because it has been almost 2 months since I've last seen this film. But I do remember thinking the score was pretty fun and energetic, and it fit the tone of the film pretty well. And with Pixar films, I do wish there's more of an oomph to them. There are a few more personal stories that have been told since about the 2020s, and I do like some of these emotional gut punches. Like, I think there are a few great moments in Onward and Soul that I think are very powerful, but I just wish it kind of went a little further, and especially with this film, because, like I said, there's something that happens, and I wish they didn't pull a gotcha on you, because I think it'd be really powerful and strong. And also discussing Elio's backstory. He does have a pretty tragic backstory, but I wish they touched on it a little further. And I wish it sort of played into Elio's sort of want to go to space, and his feelings that he doesn't feel like he belongs on Earth, or he feels like an outsider, or that he doesn't want to interact with anyone else and just wants to get abducted by aliens. I wish there was more about that. But to my knowledge, I think the film went through a lot of rewrites, and or just it got changed up a whole lot, because apparently Elio could have been gay, or it was implied that he was gay in like earlier versions of this film, and people say they didn't want to see it or pay to see it, so they had to rework everything, yada yada. I don't know. We'll never know. That's just supposedly from what I've heard from articles and whatnot. But overall, I do think Elio is a pretty enjoyable, inoffensive, and charming Pixar film that I think a lot of people should really check out, and I'm sure they're going to check it out when it hits Disney Plus, if it hasn't already. I liked it. I'd like to rewatch it again. I think it's pretty cute, charming, inoffensive, and it's not anything special. It is one of the more entertaining of the, not post-Wall-E, but more so the post-COVID era of Pixar. That's what I'll say, because there are 3 different stages of Pixar: pre-Wall-E, post-Wall-E, and post-Wall-E, which I think will be onward. Anything from onward and afterwards, because we're in a very different era of Pixar than we were before, and even before that. So yeah, it's one of the better Pixar films post 2020. I think it's pretty enjoyable. I'd like to watch it again at some point just to see how it holds up. Funny how it holds up. I've only seen it 2 months ago, but you know what I mean. Just to see if I would still enjoy it, and I'm sure I would. I'm giving Elio a B minus. It's fun, it's charming, it's entertaining, and it's pretty short at 1 hour and 40. So, what did you think of Elio? Do you find that the controversy surrounding Elio is more entertaining than the actual film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think it's woke and that it's going to turn your kids gay? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below, and I'll be back with more enjoyable content like this. So, yeah, bye.